Hello, race fans, and welcome once again to another high-octane episode of Trackside, proudly presented by Document Technologies. Document Technologies provides a comprehensive range of managed solutions, including multifunction devices, managed print services, and document management software. They're also known for their fast service, boasting an average response time of 2 hours or less, and offer high-quality product multifunction devices alongside document management and cloud hosting software. Stay tuned, racing enthusiasts, because the action starts right now, right here on Trackside.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Trackside. I'm Terry Turner alongside Randy Dye. Happy Mother's Day to all of you out there, all you mothers. Randy, Mark and I were just discussing, Mark, our producer, all three of us are, pretty solid old guys, pretty tough guys. But Randy, I still miss my mommy. How about you?
That's an interesting comment, because I was on my phone. I was on the phone last night with my uncle, whose birthday was Monday, May 5th, and he lives out in Washington State now. So we have one thing in common, obviously, among others, but my mother, and she was his older sister, and of course my mother, and we spent probably 10 minutes of our conversation at least talking about her, the perspective and the amount of the admiration that I have and he has had. I mean, I think it would be safe to say still have, even though she's gone, for her and what she meant to our lives. She's older. She would have been 85 years old this year, and my uncle just turned 76 this week. And she actually was quite a bit older than him. So in some ways she was the big sister, but sometimes she was a bit of a mother figure to him too. So it was interesting, especially with your comments. We just had this conversation last night.
Well, and like I said, Mark and I were talking about it. All three of us, our moms are gone, and they certainly made a big impression on us. Matter of fact, and again, as I brag on Mark a little bit, as our producer for all these years and so many things he does at the radio stations. But when I first moved there, I rented a house first, and Mark's mom was a realtor. And she got talking about her son in broadcasting school, et cetera, in New York. And long story short, now we have Mark. So, moms build bridges. They still do, even though they're gone.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I've told him, I told my uncle, I said, it probably took me a little longer to have the bigger, better appreciation for my mom than maybe I did when I was younger. But man, talk about solid and foundation, and her my mom defined the epitome of servant leadership. I mean, she served her kids, and then ultimately afterwards she served her grandkids. And that was her life, and it was really pretty special. And I have a true sense of appreciation for her. I did back in the day, but way more. The last probably 15, 20 years, where he just kind of things started to make sense.
We had the tendency to take them for granted in our younger years. I, ladies and gentlemen, had the privilege of sitting right next to Randy's mother one time, quite a few years ago, at an award ceremony for Daniel Dye when he was quarter midget racing. and got a chance to talk to her about her perspective on Daniel's racing, etc. And she was an interesting individual. Produced a great son, Randy, who produced another great son, Daniel Dye. And Daniel Dye is still up to some great things. And we have his latest interview tied into Race to Stop Suicide. I'd like to hear that now for everybody, and then we'll talk about it. But, hey, moms have an influence on sons, grandchildren, and here's a great example of a great-grandchild. Here's Daniel Dye.
I'm Daniel Dye. I drive the number 10 Chevrolet in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I'm 21 years old from Daytona Beach, Florida. Race to Stop Suicide is a mission that we started when I first started racing late models. The purpose of it is to help people feel better talking about how they feel about mental health, and if they have struggles, and just trying to give people resources and places to go in case they need some help.
Race to Stop Suicide came about in probably the most perfect way, but also one of the most difficult ways. We were having a conversation. Daniel was only 14 years old, so it was 7 years ago.
At the time, I was, just going into high school, had already been introduced to a couple people that were going through that kind of stuff, a couple friends in middle school, but also just something that you kind of see, stuff on social media and things like that, as well as a TV show called 13 Reasons Why. It was on Netflix, and was watching that at the time. So that has a lot to do with mental health, and had a lot of inspiration for my, not so much excitement, but eagerness to do something.
Our goals are simple. We want to create awareness by normalizing the conversation. That translates to it's okay to talk about it. Secondly, more often than not, you'll hear somebody say, I had no idea they were struggling. And of course, that's true. You didn't know, because you don't know what you're looking for. So we try to give some basic fundamental knowledge about what you can look for. And then 3, resources. How do you get help? If you had to take your best friend who was having a mental health crisis, where would you take them? Most people don't know. That's our mission, is to create awareness for all those things. And one of the ways that we do that is through what we call March to Stop Suicide.
The March to Stop Suicide is an event that we've done twice now at Daytona International Speedway, where we march for 98 minutes and 8 seconds.
We simply gather a bunch of people, and we start at the start-finish line of the Daytona International Speedway, and we proceed to walk around the Speedway for 98 minutes and 8 seconds.
988, I think, is the most important resource. You used to have to remember a long 1-800, I don't even remember it.
Our Congress in 2022, July 16th, made a national mental health crisis hotline available, and it's 988.
Now, just like you call 911 if you have an emergency, you call 988 if you have a mental health emergency. But you don't only have to call, you can text 988, you can go online and find 988 and have anonymous chat boxes, basically, where you can talk to a mental health professional that is there to help you. As a sport, we just have to continue to break the ice, continue to be open, welcome people with open arms to talk about how they're feeling, check on maybe another team, one of your crew members, maybe your tire changer. You just say, hey man, how you feeling? And really mean it. And it's stuff like that that can go a long way, because you never know what's going on behind closed doors. Something to know about me is that I am always available. I think the people around me that believe in this mission are always available too. Something I've always liked to say is that everybody has 5 minutes. It doesn't matter if you're Daniel Dye or Chris Rice or Matt Collig or Kevin Walter, any of those people that I interact here with at the race shop. I think all of them have 5 minutes to have a conversation with somebody if it's going to change their mind on making a permanent decision. And that's really what this is all about, is trying to prevent people from making a permanent decision to solve a temporary problem. So everybody has 5 minutes. reach out, be honest about how you feel, and I think you'll see that people are willing to listen.
Well, Randy, what you and Daniel dreamed up, and now lots of other folks have pitched in to help, has grown to be a unbelievable organization who's doing some unbelievable things. So, again, it's always nice to hear from both of you on this, and we talk about it a lot, but it's an important thing. So I guess I'd say great job to both of you, and congratulations for where it is right now.
Well, we're certainly, thank you, a lot further in than we were when it started, and I think quite honestly, there was so much that we didn't know. We just knew that we were supposed to do something, and I will tell you, I would not be totally honest if I said that this was a willing endeavor for us. It was a willing endeavor for Daniel. I told you, and you sat by my mother, and Daniel was little, and I talked to him about how life isn't about just about what you do, but it's about what you can do for somebody else. And as he got more and more into racing, we talked about how we had to do something with a platform that would benefit humanity, and that comes from, I think, back to how this program started. My mother instilled a lot of great things in me, and thankfully I listened to a few of them, and she demonstrated it too, by the way. And then one of my heroes growing up was Roberto Clemente, and his quote that I try my very well best to live up to: if you have an opportunity to make things better and you don't, then you're wasting your time on Earth. So we try not to waste our time on Earth, and but frankly, Daniel was the catalyst. He was the push. He was the one who said, "This is something we got to do," and I was opposed, but he taught me why I shouldn't be, and it's been a learning process. And to your point, there have been so many people who have jumped on board and have helped us. The March to Stop Suicide is an example of people in our community and beyond, frankly, who have joined together to raise money to help all kinds of different demographics, different people, and we've used the NASCAR platform. I'm not ashamed to say that. Yep, we took advantage of the million-plus people every week that watch our series and watched the Truck Series last year, and and hopefully one day. And I will tell you, I'm so glad to be a part of the Colleague Racing family, because in May, at both Charlotte and Nashville, all of the Colleague cars are going to have some version of Race to Stop Suicide on them. And that's something they just decided to do. They have, they've gotten on board with the cause, and I'm not, we haven't got into the weeds and the details and to find out exactly why it was something that they decided that was important to them, but they're on board. And so when you think about those 2 weekends, in May being Mental Health Awareness Month, it's pretty powerful to have all of that horsepower, no pun intended, well, really it was, but behind the cause.
Well, amazing. It's awesome that they're doing that. I'm not surprised. And we're going to talk about ratings here in just a minute. So point being, with all the cars, as you just stated, and how many eyes will be on TV screens, and not counting just at the races themselves and how many impressions that's going to make. And, I guess it's easy to say, well, how many lives will be saved? But I'm going to say it because it's a fact that this program is saving lives. There's no doubt about that. So, again, congratulations. Pretty cool to see. I was talking to Randy off the air how Daniel has grown, and what a handsome young man, what a great young man he is. And stayed with his dreams and being very successful. Again, as we'll hear in the local, very close to another top 10 this past week at Texas. So anyway, Randy, I don't know what else I can say, but way to go, you guys, and all the folks. There's lots of folks that are involved in this. All the folks that turned out at the Daytona International Speedway, not too far back, 3 weeks back, to be part of this, and it's just so amazing to see where it is right now. So big time, congrats, man.
Well, I appreciate it, and we pretty much we've committed. We know we're going to do it next year. We'll be enhancing it again, and feel pretty confident about what we're going to be able to accomplish, and it'll be a better event than it was the first two. But we are proud of where we're going, and the cool thing is we could do this event, and not just one, but we could do them multiple times across the country. So
sure.
It's we appreciate it. Every life matters, and I just, my heart breaks honestly when you think about a person in a situation who decides that that's their only choice, and we got to make sure that that's not the way they feel. So thanks for letting us talk about it, Terry. Thank you.
You betcha. You bet. Well, you, myself, and Daniel have been up close to this situation, so we get it. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let's roll into the local segment of the Trackside program.
One Daytona, located across from the world's center of racing, is proud to present our local segment, where we talk with a local star in your part of the country following a big win, event preview, and much more. One Daytona in Daytona Beach is a vibrant destination offering an array of shopping, dining, and entertainment options, including unique events and live music suitable for families and individuals alike.
Volusia Speedway Park will be celebrating Mother's Day this weekend, but back to work on the 17th next Saturday night with the Top Gun Sprint Car Series returning to Volusia Speedway Park for the first two big shows at the world's fastest half mile in 2025. The Winged Warriors will be joined by Dirt Car UMP Modifieds, Factory Stocks, and three-quarter Modifieds. The asphalt was on fire last weekend at New Smyrna Speedway as Wilson Martins Jr. wins the Jacks Pro Trucks, Cody Gray wins the Bomber Bs, Bobby Holly wins the Super Stocks, and Brad Blayton wins the Modified Minis. New Smyrna Speedway will also be celebrating Mother's Day off this weekend, back next Saturday with the Pro Late Model Challenge Twin 50s. You'll be seeing Hoosier Pro Late Model, Sportsman, E-Mods, and the Black Seal Coating Bomber Race. Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola, Florida, happening tonight. Gates open at 5, racing starts at 8. You'll see Outlaws, Modified Mayhem Tour, Pure Stock, Crown Stock, and Allison Legacy. In NASCAR last week at Texas, in the Truck Series, Corey Heim gets the win. Xfinity, Kyle Larson gets another win. And our own Daniel Dye very close to another top 10, finishing 11th. In the Cup Series, Joey Logano gets the win. Trucks in action tomorrow at Kansas. That race starts at 7:30. You'll see it on Fox Sports 1. The Cup guys at 3 o'clock on Sunday. Xfinity off till May 24th. You'll see them back at Charlotte. Randy, I got to ask you, Daniel came real close again to the top 10. What a race. What a racetrack. What does he have to say about the big bump in turn 4? It caused all sorts of mayhem in the Cup guys. Almost like the Cup guys were playing bumper cars in some ways, and they were kind of behaving like some of the brand new rookies that we've seen so far in the last couple of years. What about that big bump in turn 4? Daniel, have any comment?
Yeah, I mean, I think his comments are, every racetrack's different, and some of those things you just it's part of the character, and you know where you are, and you know where you got to be, and so I think that's really the way he looked at that race. You'd rather, to be honest, guys, when you hear the drivers start to fuss about well, don't repave it, this track, that track. Anytime there's a discussion about repaving a racetrack, almost always the drivers say don't do it. And the reason they're saying don't do it is because once you repave it, once you resurface the racetrack, you really take a lot of the character out. You take the bumps, the dips, just the things that you're used to. And I know it's going to sound crazy, but those are markers. Those are just, it kind of helps you know where you are on the racetrack. So most of the time, unless it's just really egregious, drivers just tend not to like to have a real soft or a real smooth racetrack. I remember when they resurfaced Daytona, and I went out there, and I was like, man, I didn't even know where I was. All the things that were inherent in the Daytona International Speedway surface went away, and it was just weird being out there on a racetrack and it being that smooth. It was crazy. I think the bump, yep, depends on where you hit it, and but that's the way it is about every place you go. There's some places on a racetrack you just have to avoid, and if you don't, well, stuff happens,
Well, I would say, you're a big time golfer and golf all over the place. Same kind of things are attributed to golf courses. You gotta watch out for certain areas. They all have their idiosyncrasies, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a lot less dramatic hitting a golf ball into something, into a hazard than spinning out a race car going 200 miles an hour. But that's true. Yes.
Yeah. I think you're right on the money, no doubt about it. Well, I think we would agree that a pretty good driver in the Cup Series is Kyle Busch, and the bump threw him for a loop, pretty much ruined his day. So a veteran like that gets screwed up. It can happen. So it could have been worse.
Well, it does, and sometimes you just get yourself in a situation, meaning, like in that particular place, it's like it's really not the bump, it's where you entered the corner that put you in a position to run over the bump. So you got to remember the speeds that they're traveling at these racetracks it's insane. So it's tough. Sometimes there's traffic, and you have to make a decision, and if the traffic that you have to go around is in your way and the line you want to be in, and you make that say, well, I can get around them, and then you hit the bump. There's just stuff like that, and it's no different, honestly, Terry. If you go to some of the short tracks around the country, they all have that character, and the cars get upset in certain places. Dirt tracks, you go to a dirt track. It just depends on the weather and how the track was prepared, because it can be different every week. So,
it even depends on who's on the machines that are preparing the track in some cases.
Yeah.
About that.
Yeah.
So, do you think they'll do anything to fix it at Texas, or leave it alone?
I don't think so. I don't. I mean, the racetrack itself is pretty good. That bump is. If you get it in the center of the race car, it's no big deal.
Gotcha.
So I'd say probably not.
I think I would agree, no doubt about it. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let's roll right into the truck segment of the program.
The Tough Trucks of NASCAR are next up on the agenda, presented by Aaron Delgado and Associates. With over 110 combined years of experience in criminal defense and personal injury, Aaron Delgado and Associates takes pride in vigorously representing clients in various challenging legal situations within the community. Now, let's go trucking.
Randy, we get excited about these young drivers and all three series. Corey Heim, and we see various drivers just kind of catch on fire. Corey Heim has won 3 races, the only multiple winner in the truck series this year. Won at Vegas, of course, just won at Texas. He's definitely favored at Kansas. It's fun to see these guys figure it out in all 3 series and make things happen.
Oh, well, I mean, that Corey Heim is arguably, and I'm not sure how much argument we get, honestly, but probably the best race car driver, race truck driver right now in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. I think that's his thing, and he's good, and he's smart, he's aggressive. I mean, he gets it. He definitely gets it, and so I would not bet against him, especially in Kansas City. He does seem to really get these mile-and-a-half racetracks, and I think I'm right. He's going for his third win in a row at Kansas City, so that tells you they've got it figured out.
Exactly. Well, we'll watch and see. And yep, he's on fire. I think he is the best one in the trucks right now, no doubt about it. Look, we talked a lot about ratings, Brandon. I want to leave this in the truck series because actually this is really good news for all three series. A lot of other racing events going on last weekend, and I'm just going to kind of read through this. The Cup race at Texas, drawing 2.56 million viewers. On FS1, the highest viewership of any. Again, they versed FS1, Formula One, the Miami Grand Prix, and beat them out by quite a ways. Strong in the Cup Series, the Xfinity Series attracting 1.002 million viewers, and then the Craftsman Truck Series on Fox Sports 1, 401,000 viewers. So, and going back to Xfinity Series topped 1 million viewers in each of the first 12 races this season. We discussed this before, but CW is doing a great job. But take all three series, and you're going up against the Miami Grand Prix, Formula One, beat them all. So, again, good news for all three series, and kind of boils down to, well, okay, when you got all the series running, and then you are versing some of these other big series in open wheel, and we win, that's good news. It kind of shows who's watching what and who's the favorite.
You know, I think it's interesting. I look at IndyCar racing as an example, and it's pretty obvious that FS1 is slanted heavily in the favor of IndyCar racing. They're replaying the IndyCar races over and over and over again on FS1, and so, but if the fans still have to. The fans still have to love it. If you look at the Indy 500, and it's arguably, the one of the best races, certainly one of the most well attended, high TV viewership, but they can't seem to carry that momentum to the other events. If you look at horse racing as an example, you have the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont. The Kentucky Derby being the hallmark, the number one event. Those are amazingly well attended events, but then horse racing as a sport in general, it becomes very, very small audience. So they haven't been able to figure out how to carry all the momentum from their key events into the other series. The Daytona 500 is sold out, year after year. And I'm not saying it's sold out for 2026. I think it will be. But there are multiple racetracks a year in our sport that get sold out. Rockingham was sold out. Daytona was sold out. Phoenix is sold out. I mean, those things happen. So, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you that I don't like the Indy 500, but I don't spend much time watching any other open wheel IndyCar race besides the Indy 500. And
that's interesting. Interesting you say that, because I find myself in the same spot. I just didn't realize the gap was as wide as it is until I looked at all these ratings. So. Yeah, a pretty big deal. makes you wonder if one of these days, you talk about the Derby, if one of the big races that NASCAR has, that all the women will wear hats. Just thinking out loud. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, with that, that's
they
all
do
I'll
that
say.
in Talladega.
What?
They do that in Talladega. They do it in Talladega. It's just that they don't know where the hat came from.
Well, and they don't know a lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say this, but they don't know a lot of times what part of the body the hats will cover at Talladega. With that, let's take a break. We'll be right back and get heavy into the Xfinity Series if we're still on the air. We'll be right back.
Introducing the all-new tractor and outdoor power equipment section at DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors. Now you can gear up for your outdoor projects with premium brands like Bobcat, Massey Ferguson, Shindaiwa, Echo, and more. Need a powerful lawnmower for that perfectly manicured lawn? They've got it. How about a rugged tractor to tackle those big projects? DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors has you covered. And let's not forget the Lawn and Garden Center with everything from weed whackers to chainsaws. Commercial or residential, DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors has the goods to keep you moving. So why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary? Visit DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors today at their new location and explore the thrilling world of outdoor power equipment. DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors, where the thrill of the ride meets the power of the great outdoors. Your journey begins here.
Welcome back to Trackside as we now take a look under the hood in the NASCAR Xfinity Series presented by Daytona's Garage. Daytona's Garage offers more than just standard dealership customization. They provide a comprehensive range of services for personalizing and enhancing cars, Jeeps, and trucks of any make and model, focusing on both aesthetics and performance with affordability. Reliable service. Now, back to Terry and Randy.
Come in, Houston. Are we still on the air? Randy, I love the hats at Talladega. I think we ought to try to influence and see what we can get done to make that happen for the fall race at Talladega. What a sight that would be. Good idea, Randy.
Well, the one thing they do with hats at Talladega, besides wear them in different places, they use them as receptacles for the consuming beverages.
Yeah, if you see a big hat with ice in it, ladies and gentlemen, you know what used to be there. No doubt. Holy cow. Well, speaking of ice, the ice man, Kyle Larson, sits in for the injured Connor Zilic at Texas and gets the win. That's the second Xfinity win for him, Randy, this season. 17th of his career in the Xfinity Series. Very smart move late in the race. Pit stop, goes on to win in double overtime. Wow, that guy can drive.
Oh, I don't think anybody can argue that point. I mean, you'd have it'd be tough to argue against it. He's the best driver in the Cup Series in NASCAR today. I don't know many people that could dispute that. I say today now, because there's been. I'm not saying best of all time ever. I'm saying the best of the time today.
Yes, I certainly would agree. It sure is fun to watch him race and fun to watch him overcome adversity. He always seems to be able to do it. Randy, speaking of adversity, Mr. Mark, I think in the future when we talk penalties, we should play the Perry Mason theme. But Daniel Dye in the number 10 did finish in 11th place in his car, but got an infraction and for a couple of loose lug nuts, and that kicks his crew chief Kevin Walter out for a race and a $10,000 fine. We've talked about this till we're blue in the face. Both of us agree. Holy cats! No big safety issue, a couple of lug nuts, and yet these big penalties. This drives me crazy, Randy.
Well, I understand the reasons for the penalty. I don't understand the crew chief throwing a guy out. I mean, I just don't think that's. I believe that's an extreme measure. It's in the rule book, so it's not a judgment call. It's not. I mean, it is what it is. Everybody knows it. There's no way that NASCAR's just sort of arbitrarily picking a penalty. No, it's prescribed. That's the penalty. To be fair, it wasn't. It's certainly not the crew chief's fault. And as a matter of fact, I would go so far as to say it wasn't the tire changer's fault. This one was on Daniel, and he tried to leave too early. He was leaving as the car was coming down off the jack. Yeah, you could say, well, then the tires, the lug nuts should have been tight. If it's coming down, they should have been tight. It's such a close, choreographed pit stop that but I'm going to tell you, I watched and I went, well, there's no way the lug nuts are tight, and they weren't. Now, fortunately, he still was able to run and was running fine. Was probably going to finish 7th or 8th, no worse than 8th, albeit with the car. He said, Dad, I had a hard time seeing out the windshield because it was shaking so much. And I said, well, okay. So, I said, so what's going to be different? Well, they had pit stop practice this week, and So that's why I don't agree ultimately in the penalty resulting in the ejection of anybody, the crew chief, the tire changer, certainly not the driver. I just think it's too harsh, and really doesn't. It's not appropriate, or it's not applicable. So, but when the caution came, it was they had to reset, and the lead that he had over his competition evaporated, and it made it very difficult to drive hard with the windshield vibrating like it was.
So the two lug nuts missing definitely did cause vibration.
I'd say there was 2 lug nuts missing. That's for sure.
Gotcha. Okay. I think that's all we need to say for sure.
Yep.
Randy, we talk a lot about sponsors, et cetera, and we at Flagler Broadcasting, Kicks Country, get the opportunity to be part of Daniel's racing team in some aspect of different races. I like this story. This is Jeremy Clemick Racing, and they have got some local folks that have led off the Xfinity Series in 2025. Hometown folks. Example, Spartan Waste and Fox Sports Spartanburg, which is 98.3 FM on the car in a couple of races, and then the Single A minor league baseball team, which is an affiliate of the Texas Rangers, is part of that as well. So they're going to be on board the car and also going to be this weekend, and then also at Charlotte and then at Martinsville as well. So pretty neat to see, smaller organizations and hometowns get to be part of being on the car and helping the car and so on and so forth, which is, again, a great privilege like we have at Flagler Broadcasting. So good stuff in the Xfinity Series.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love the series. It's a great series, and I think it's a combination of these. There's some independents, and then there's some massive operations. Junior Motorsports, it's not uncommon for them to have 5 cars in a race. Some of the big Cup teams have every once in a while enter a car in an Xfinity race, and then there's just full-time Xfinity guys, and it's an interesting combination, that's for sure.
It sure is. It's fun to watch it. Before we move into Cup, Catherine Legg has got a new book coming out, and it's called Cat's Magic Helmet. And the bottom line of it is to the children's book and to help children. And her statement on this book is, I know firsthand how it feels to be the outsider. having been the only girl competing against boys. And this book is for every kid who's ever felt unsure or left out. I want them to know that they're not alone and that they absolutely belong. So here again is our great sport with great people involved in it. Here's Catherine competing in both Xfinity and in some cup races, putting the book out for kids, and hey, you can do it type of thing, and using the sport as part of it to help it make the reach that it needs. Another great thing for our sport.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you end up finding out is that a lot of these people that race they're just good people, and and they do good things, and they use the platform to kind of accelerate a cause. That's for sure.
Exactly. So congratulations to Catherine. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, let's roll right into the Cup segment of the program.
UniFirst presents Conversation about the NASCAR Cup Series, the pinnacle. In auto racing, just like Cup, UniFirst is also the leader of the pack as the uniform and facility service experts. Let's go back to our hosts, Randy and Terry.
Randy, Joey Logano certainly recovered and gets the win at Texas last week. But at the race, there were some folks there displaying the spoilers from Joey Logano and Ryan Preece's cars from Talladega. I won't read the entire what they found type of thing. We've pretty much done enough of that. But the specific braces and spoiler angle on both of those cars, they had shims and loose nuts and bolts and so on and forth, which allowed the spoiler to move, which creates more downforce, et cetera, et cetera. They were certainly penalized, but NASCAR kind of came out and made a point and kind of showed the spoilers off and how they done it type of deal last week at Texas.
Well, yeah, it's these guys. I think it's an interesting deal. I personally don't mind all of this because the moment that these guys quit trying to find better ways, I think then it gets a little too vanilla. Now, I'm not saying, but by the way, that this should be ignored, allowed, or whatever. NASCAR just has to address it in the rule book, and they're on their toes. I mean, if you have never watched the inspection process at a NASCAR race, you really should. I'm not telling you it's not like watching a WWE event, but there's a lot going on there. And I could also tell you that depending upon the racetrack, they look for different things because, as you're aware, what you commented about with spoilers at Talladega, and that's a super speedway. That spoiler makes a huge difference. And so they'll be looking for different things at mile-and-a-half racetracks, short tracks, road courses, than they will at super speedways. So it doesn't take long to figure it out, especially that first round going through inspection. You learn real quick what they're looking for.
Well, I'm thinking of making a suggestion to NASCAR that this type of penalty would be, the name of the penalty would be changed to the creativity penalty.
That sounds a little too soft for me, Terry. I'll put it that way.
Okay. Yeah. Well. All right. And speaking of creativity, the beat goes on. 2311 Racing Front Row Motorsports asking for financial information from F1. It says now that request has been dismissed, and court proceedings have kind of moved on with that, and they have figured out other ways to look at this, but. Either the teams have settled and got some info or just dropped the quest. Other cases against IndyCar, NFL, NHL, NBA continue. So they let Formula One off, but they're still looking into some other folks as far as antitrust violations and finances, et cetera. as part of the lawsuit.
It's ludicrous to me. That type of discovery to me is just completely ludicrous. You got to remember this is you just kind of at the opening of this program you talked about all the different types of racing that are available in our country. You went through 6 of them, I think, and yet here we are fussing. I mean, you voluntarily decide this is what you're going to do. You're going to participate. Here are the rules, and then you're going to sue somebody because you don't like the rules.
Pretty much.
I don't really. It's like, I'll tell you, full transparency. Coming back from Talladega, a nice young man wearing a hat and a badge in Alabama decided he wanted to have a conversation with me.
Yeah.
And the conversation was over whether I understood what the speed limit was. So I decide that I'm going to drive in the state of Alabama on the Alabama highway, and I understand the rules. And if I don't follow the rules, then certain things happen. But one of them isn't that I get to go to court and try to change the rules.
True. Did the policeman stop you have an accent in Alabama or no?
He did.
Okay. So
but
here is Danica. Go ahead, what?
Well, he was also, he decided that particular moment in time, he extended some grace my way, and I was glad to receive it.
I got you. Okay, well, you lucked out in Alabama. As far as this case, real quickly, Danica is making a comment here. She says that maybe 2311 Front Row should send their case to Judge Boasberg. I don't know exactly what she means. Anyway, with that, ladies and gentlemen, wow, are we still on the air? 2026 Clash. Ben Kennedy has come out and said, "Hey, we're gonna probably keep it in the United States for 2026. Maybe some other exhibition races or possibilities. Don't rule anything out as far as being international. But for now, the Clash looks like, unless something changes, Ben Kennedy is saying we'll be in the U.S. How about it? They had talked about some other things, and looked like they've made a decision here.
I think it's good. I think it's tremendously expensive to race, and the travel is one of the most significant expenses in racing. And when you're moving stuff around across borders into other countries, it adds a tremendous amount of cost. So I hope that they think about that. I think I understand the reason to expand. Just maybe there's different ways to do it, and and maybe more efficient ways to do it than just kind of load up like you're going to a race around the corner. It's because it's not around the corner. Certainly Mexico and even Canada. We're going. That's way up there. There's a good chance that'll happen next year. But I think that's one of the I genuinely believe that NASCAR pays attention and cares about the cost. So much of what they do is trying to get cost out of competing and running one of these organizations. So
sure, absolutely. No doubt. Well, we'll keep you posted. NASCAR's always thinking, and we just never know. Last story I've got for you, speaking of changes and upcoming things, NASCAR Championship Weekend will return to Homestead in 2026. They're talking, and Ben Kennedy again commenting on this, talking about rotating it. Weather certainly is a big factor as far as that decision is being made. And, excitement level and ticket sales and all that are certainly great at Homestead. I like that racetrack. I think you do too. Plus, I love the color of it. It's a long ways down there in the south to get too close to Homestead in Miami, but looks like the decision's been made for 2026. There was a lot of talk about it, and it's a done deal, huh?
Well, I understand the need to move it around. I got to be honest. One of my favorite racetracks to go to on the circuit is Phoenix. I love the look. I love the competition. I love the area. So, but I do understand this. The weather. A little bit of concern for me is, we're still in hurricane season at that time. So,
yep.
That's a bit of an issue. Hadn't seen a hurricane in my lifetime in Scottsdale. So, not that they need. Anyway,
well,
for that, whatever that matters. Yeah.
Well, let me say this in closing. Since you made this remark, Randy, there are folks in the world that believe that hurricanes are certainly possible in Phoenix. And that is all, ladies and gentlemen, for today's show. Enjoy your mother if you still have her. From us guys here that don't, we wish we did. Enjoy your weekend with your family, and really big time. Thanks for being with us right here on Trackside. We'll see you next time.
See you at the racetrack, everybody, and to all moms out there, thank you for what you do.
And with the checkered flag waving, we're wrapping up this week's edition of Trackside. Fear not, race fans, because we'll be back next week, proudly presented by Document Technologies. Tune in for a fresh new episode packed with engaging interviews, captivating conversations, and all the exhilarating moments you've come to expect. Until then, keep the racing spirit alive, and we'll see you next time on Trackside.